Hello? Hello? Does anyone want to talk about religion in here? It's your friendly neighborhood atheist.
You a Jehovah's Witness?
I've never heard of heliocentric before. Oh, it's got 6,000 subbies. Interesting.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of Atheist Church Audit. My name is Jared. I'm an atheist, and today I collected a whole host of wonderful literature.
I gotta be honest with you. 6,000 subbies. Really, he looks really cleaned up. Big fan of his haircut. The camera is high quality. He's got sound effects to go with it. He's got visual effects, Atheist Church Audit.
My name is Jared. I'm an atheist, and today I collected a whole host of
And he has a whole bunch of literature. This is really high quality right here, seriously. This dude is going places, in my opinion. If he wants to go places, he's going places. It's a matter of if he sticks to it at this point, honestly. This is really good.
wonderful literature.
You can't read them, can you?
From our friends over at the Watchtower. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I visited the Jehovah's Witnesses. So this is a unique episode because this time I went to 2 services. I pulled a fast one on them. They didn't come to my door. I went to theirs.
We don't have a rule book here.
He's funny too. That's good. I like that.
Oh God, there's a lot here. My mind is kind of all over the place with this one. Please bear with me. There were some bombshells that were dropped this time that I really want to touch on. Now, this might strike people as like really poor form, but I don't like doing research on churches before I go to them. I like just raw dogging it. I like going in there totally blind, totally unsuspecting of whatever I'm going to hear, and just embracing it, just sitting there and being bewildered by whatever it is that I hear. All I really knew going into it was what I learned when I was a Christian and, you know, had done my little bit of research on them for apologetic purposes.
I like to do a little bit of research, at least, on churches ahead of time. Like, just learn a little bit about what I should be expecting, you know? Like, what's the etiquette and stuff for what I should be doing?
Arguments for the
William Lane Craig.
existence of God.
So I knew that at one point in time, they believed that only 144,000 people were going to go to heaven. However, that doctrine has either been modified or converted.
No, that's still the doctrine.
Knew that they believed that Jesus was crucified on a stake rather than a cross. For some reason, that's like...
Yep, that's right. It's because the word stauros is in the Bible, and it means upright pole. Nobody thought to describe the torture device that was commonly used. Like, if we were writing in our diaries today, I ate eggs this morning in 500, 2,000 years even, somebody pulls out our diary out of rubble and reads, I was eating eggs. Well, what kind of eggs? Were they ostrich eggs? Were they like, I don't know, lizard eggs of some sort? How would they know they were chicken eggs? Were they jaybird eggs? We have that cultural context today because we're in this culture. But we don't have the cultural context from 2,000 years ago to know how people were crucified. No one thought to describe it. However, there are actually a couple of descriptions in the Epistle of Barnabas, for example. It's an apocryphal book, but it does describe how Jesus was crucified, and it describes him as hung up like the mast of a ship. Also, the book of John, I don't like playing games with letters and tenses and past participles. I think that's stupid, but it does refer to the nail hole, or the holes from the nails, plural, multiple nails. And Jehovah's Witnesses even admit that. And they say, well, they could have used 2 nails in, in a stake, just put a couple of nails in both hands. Anyway, ridiculous. All right, let's continue.
Like super relevant to them. And I knew that the Jehovah's Witnesses reject the Trinity and embrace a subordinationist Christology. So they don't believe that Jesus is God. Beyond that,
that's correct.
I knew what everyone else knows about them.
That's actually also like historically accurate. Jesus did not believe he was God. Jehovah's Witnesses are right on that one.
They don't like blood transfusions, they don't celebrate birthdays, and they're probably knocking on your door right now. But yeah, beyond...
No, it's super uncommon for Jehovah's Witnesses to come to people's doors. It's like once every 5 years or something. Because they have to hit every single door in a district, and there aren't very many Jehovah's Witnesses around. But yeah.
That, I just wanted to go into it totally blind. How do I describe this? Oh gosh, this was weird. I'm sorry. Guys, I'm sorry. It was weird. I don't know how to sanitize it. I'm sorry. And if you're a Jehovah's Witness watching this, stay tuned, because the entire sermon in the Watchtower, which...
Not a sermon. But okay.
If you went to church the same Sunday that I did, you heard the same sermon that I did, and you know that everything that I'm telling you is something that you shouldn't be listening to. So maybe you shouldn't watch this video. I hope you do, because I'm gonna, voice my opinions as a dude that you're trying to witness to. So if
That's totally correct. Absolutely. And I love that he used the word witness correctly also. And I love the little tap, tap, taps on the thing. That was great. But they're not sermons. They're just meetings or services.
you want to be more informed on how to better witness to a dude like me, you should watch this video. Oh God, I'm
He's using it correctly. That's great. Using witnessing correctly.
sorry.
You seem stressed.
Sorry. Let's back up. If any of you guys remember my criticisms for the Mormon Church, oh my God, this is the ugliest building in the world. I want to die. Help, help, please send help. Gouge out my eyes.
That's funny. This dude's really good. Like I said, going places if he wants to.
I blasted them pretty heavily for how hideous their congregation was. My eyes! Not the people. The people were beautiful. The church building, the sanctuary. I'm pretty sure I've seen cardboard boxes that are more interesting than the inside of a LDS sanctuary. Now, with that being said, the J-dubs are giving them a run for their money because they're hideous. They're hideous, and even like more intentionally hideous.
They're bland and they're monochromatic. They're a single color. Every Kingdom Hall is just a single color, basically. My Kingdom Hall growing up was actually kind of like the carpet was gray. The chairs were kind of it's like a dark red color. What's it called? Mulberry, maybe? Anyway. So it wasn't as monochromatic, but now I've been back to my Kingdom Hall since like 10 years ago or something. And it's very like kind of light yellow to tan a little. It's weird. I don't know why. I guess just to like make everything super bland so that all you can do is focus on the single thing they want you to focus on. That's my assumption.
And they're totally iconoclastic. There's nothing in the sanctuary except for the two monitors that are showing the sermon. The sermon.
Yeah, they didn't always have the monitors either. That's new. And it's not a sanctuary. It's just a Kingdom Hall.
And that's in here, in the Watchtower. We'll get to that. There's literally just two, flat screen monitors that show the lyrics of the songs that they're singing and the scriptures that they're reading from, kind of. So let's get to the good part. Let's talk about the good things of this church, because there are good things here, but maybe the good things are good on first glance and then more complicated the longer you look at them. For starters, the first Kingdom Hall that I went to, it was the most integrated.
Bro went to multiple?
Starters, the first Kingdom Hall that I went to, it was the most integrated church that I've ever been in. I mean, sincerely, it was like...
Well, you mean like black, white, Mexican? Yeah, they're really big on not drawing the line between like black and white, but drawing it between Jehovah's Witnesses and non-Jehovah's Witnesses. They are very integrated. Even in West Virginia, I knew Mexicans in my Kingdom Hall, and I knew black people, and black people were married to white people, and nobody thought anything of it. We all just like lived our lives, did our thing, and it was normal. So I will give them that.
Every color of the rainbow was there. It was an equal smattering of black people, white people, Hispanic people, Asian people, and it was beautiful to see. I don't necessarily take off points for a church when I see that it's predominantly white or predominantly black, but when a church is able to overcome that and say, hey, no, we're attracting, all people from all nations and we're going to put them in a building together, that's really cool.
They also, like in every single video, they always represent a different group if possible. Like just go to their website now, go to library videos and click any random video. It's the first one that pops up. Rafika Morris, I wanted to fight injustice.
Blacks and whites, we couldn't mix. And not only that, they had signs to keep you knowing where you're supposed to go.
Talking about segregation and picking cotton, like she's literally picking cotton. That's the first video, and they're talking about how unjust that was. Jehovah's Witnesses do not believe women should have any leadership role. Governing body is a bunch of white men. However, there's one black guy, and those white men are from different countries. So you've got one from Australia, you got one from Germany, and other places. Here, look, branch report, Nigeria and Cameroon.
Our brothers remain joyful because their focus is on future kingdom realities, not on the present unfavorable conditions. In the month of September and October, a number of states experienced severe flooding.
See, this is just out there. It's on their homepage, Nigeria and Cameroon report. Why would Jehovah's Witnesses in the United States care about this? They wouldn't normally, but the reason they put it on is to show that we are a united people. We fit together, everybody, black, white, whatever. That's kind of the idea. So anyway, he's totally correct about that. Respectable. Like I said, I will give them points when I feel it's necessary. You know, they're wrong about the stake and the cross. They're right about the Trinity. They're right about treating people equally, no matter what their race. They're wrong about shunning. They're wrong. The Bible does not condemn birthdays. They're right about some things, wrong about some things, and they're just right about this one. In their early days, Charles Taze Russell, the original... Okay, I wrote about this in my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses. Big, long compendium about, like, their culture and their beliefs. Anyway, Charles Taze Russell wasn't, like, intentionally racist exactly, but he did end up being super fucking racist in the end. Like, the things that he said were just wild. He clearly viewed black people as, like, inferior, but he didn't want them to have to be inferior. So he said, in the new system, in God's kingdom, I was mixing those two up. In the new system, black people's skin will turn white. And they did keep Kingdom Halls segregated back in his day. We're talking early 1900s, or late early 1900s. Joseph Rutherford was a monster. He was the next president, and he was fucking awful. So I don't know what his thoughts were on race relations, but things stayed segregated under him. And I think he was like Donald Trump in that he was just looking out for himself. Whatever he could do to further his own goals and interests, he would do, basically. Anyway, yeah. Early race relations were hit or miss with Jehovah's Witnesses, but they're really good with it now.
Our coordinator's DE&I photo shoot. Now, the other thing that I'll praise these churches for is that the people here were among the most friendly that I've ever met. I mean, you know, just
called love bombing, yeah, and it's a tactic of high control groups.
Scores of people. Hey, welcome. You know, how are you doing? What's your name?
They want you to feel welcomed and happy and interested.
Do you live around here? We're so glad that you came. Here, let me get your phone number. Let's have a little bit of texting back and forth. And the people that I
That's not a point in their favor. That's a point against them. That's just a control tactic.
interacted with were all really, really sweet and friendly. Okay, so that's the good. Let's talk about the less than good.
Explain it to me then.
I need to give you guys an overview of how a normal Sunday morning service goes at a Kingdom Hall.
Okay, I talked about the whole process beginning to end in my book, Understanding Jehovah's Witnesses, like all of it. I mean, from the moment you pull into the parking lot to the moment you leave, what it'll be like, what you're supposed to do, what you can expect from the people, everything, if you're interested. OwenMorgan.com is where you find the book. It's on Amazon. You can find different versions and stuff on there.
Normally, what happens is somebody gets up there and gives a 45-minute talk or
It's 50 minutes, but okay.
or sermon. I think they use the term talk. Now, from what I can gather, and I could be wrong on this, so please correct me, the Watchtower doesn't have pastors. They have volunteers. And so it's often a different person who is preaching every single Sunday, which...
It's a little more complicated than that, but yeah, basically, I mean, this is a good video. I would definitely give this video to somebody. I'm not saying like he's wrong about things. I just feel I'm adding more context. He did a fine job on this video. I don't want him to like feel like I'm attacking him if he ends up seeing this or whatever. Really good job, honestly. Good production value, good information, interesting, engaging, has sound effects and visual components and props and everything. Fantastic video. Just to add a little bit of context to it, though, they have a hierarchy, a chain. So they usually have like 6 elders. That's what they're called. They're elders. Those are like the pastors, basically. And they all have a different position. Like, it used to be presiding overseer was the top of the heap, but they got rid of that title now. I think it's just coordinator for the body of elders. They handle some financial situations. They plan who's going to blah, 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 whatever. Then they have, I think they have a talk coordinator. I forget. And he's the guy that plans who's going to be speaking and when. The coordinator for the body of elders is the default speaker, but they fill in for him when he's, so he doesn't have to do all of it. Then they have the service overseer. Guy coordinates going in service, printing out maps, car groups, so on and so forth. They have like a bunch of different overseers like that. Like I said, about 6. And then they have ministerial servants. Those are like deacons kind of. They're under elder, and they're usually in their early 20s to late 20s. And they are burgeoning religious leaders. They're coming up. They are on their way to elder. They're considered the most spiritual in the congregation, and they give talks sometimes too. And everything that anybody ever does in the congregation is called a privilege. So if you're handling yourself well, if you're going in service at the right amount of hours or whatever, you're given the privilege of adjusting the microphone for the guy at the front. Like when he's giving a talk, you walk up, you're sitting in the front row, get up, fix the microphone so it's the right height for the guy, and you sit back down. That's a privilege. Or handling the microphones, walking them down the aisles so people can do a question and answer segment. That's a privilege. I did that stuff. I was on my way to I was on my way to ministerial servant when I left. Well on my way. I could have been there in another 6 months. Every Sunday, usually, they have a guest speaker. So they'll have a guy from a neighboring congregation that comes in, like an elder or a ministerial servant. It's called the talk circuit. They'll bring them in on the talk circuit. And they'll go from congregation to congregation giving talks to kind of encourage congregational intermixing. And a family in the congregation will host the guy who speaks for like lunch. Like they'll take him out to lunch. They'll invite him over to the house for the day. They'll hang out with their family. I remember a guy, a speaker. We hosted a speaker once or twice, and he brought his son and his wife with him to our house. We had a Super Nintendo. Damn, the game I was looking for isn't over here, but no, I guess I put it over there. Well, wherever it is, I know I have the game here somewhere. I'm a retro game collector now. We played Super Mario 3 for the NES originally, but it was on a Super Nintendo, All-Stars. We hung out. He taught us some really cool tricks on that game. Couple hours pass. They start to head home. 30 minutes after they leave, the guy calls the speaker and he says, "Are you missing $100? My dad was missing a $100 bill off of his desk." He said, "Yes." His son stole a $100 bill from my dad. It was the biggest fucking deal on planet Earth. Oh my God. A speaker, like an elder on the talk circuit. His family is totally out of order, stealing from others. Oh, it was a big deal. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of how it goes. It's an interesting little culture.
It's interesting. So there's a 45-minute talk, and then there is an hour and 15-minute Bible study, which is they go line by line through a Sunday school lesson provided by the Watchtower. Now,
yep, and every single congregation, as he said at the beginning of this, every congregation everywhere in the world does the same exact talk, same exact Watchtower lesson, if you call it that, same everything. It's all the same. Every single Kingdom Hall does it.
What's cool about this is that it acts as a pseudo-liturgy.
Cool.
That every single Jehovah's Witnesses congregation is reading from in the world at the same time. So there are other high church settings that do this as well, and it gives you a sense of unity, a sense of, hey, we are the worldwide church, we're all reading from the same Bible.
Yep, so if you call a friend in Vietnam, you can talk to them about the lesson. That's what they call it, the lesson. The daily lesson, what they talked about at the meeting, because they all say the same thing.
We're all studying the same thing, we're celebrating the same holidays, and that, brings us all together. That's cool, that's great. The thing about this, though, is that it is the most off-putting thing, the way that they go through the Watchtower magazine for their hour and 15-minute Bible study. Just zooming out for a minute, I don't know what to make of the interactions that I had with the people there. Now, again, the interactions that I had were very...
If you don't know what it's like to go through, I don't know if he's going to hit this or not, so let me just hit it. You can pull up their Watchtowers on their website again. They have 2 different Watchtowers. They have a study edition, and they have a normal edition or whatever. I cannot find the normal, or I can't find the study one on their website for some reason. I'm having trouble with it. But so let's just pick like one of their books I have here. This is good enough. This is called the Revelation book. Revelation, its grand climax at hand. We studied this in like the 90s and 2000s when I was really little. I don't even really remember it, but it's a good example of how they do things today because it still kind of follows the same pattern. So everything's broken up into paragraphs, as you can see. You've got, and subheadings, searching out divine secrets. And then paragraph 6, paragraph 7, paragraph 8. It's all split up, 9, 10. You're supposed to read the paragraph and then read the question. And the part of the meeting that he's talking about is a question and answer section. So a guy on stage will, on the side, will read the paragraph. And then the guy at the front of the lectern will read the question and kind of ask it to the audience. People will raise their hand to give an answer. And the answer is supposed to be personal, but not too personal. There's always that one person is way too personal in the congregation. And it's not supposed to be word for word. And they favor children when answering because they want to get kids involved. So you just pick a short one, for example. Look, 7 has an A and a B. All right, let's pick paragraph 4 because it's short and it just has a simple question. Here's the paragraph. But what really is an apocalypse? Though dictionaries define it by using terms such as an imminent cosmic cataclysm, I don't want to get into this. I have a whole thing about what an apocalypse is. I'm not going to bother, but trust me when I say Jehovah's Witnesses are full of shit. They have no idea what an apocalypse is. The Greek apocalypsis basically means unveiling or uncovering. That's correct. It means revealing or revelation. Thus, the last book of the Bible is properly entitled. You mean properly titled. Is it properly allowed to do something? Why are they saying entitled here? It's not entitled to anything. It's properly titled a revelation. Yeah, they're correct about this. Here we find not a mere fatalistic message of world doom, but an uncovering of divine truths that should build in our hearts a radiant hope and an immovable faith. So here's the question. Somebody finishes reading the paragraph. The conductor asks, what does the word apocalypse actually mean? And why is it the last book of the Bible and why is the last book of the Bible fittingly entitled a revelation? So somebody, a little kid, say 5 years old, might just quote it word for word. Somebody who wanted to like be a little more trustworthy and, you know, get extra brownie points would explain it in their own words. That's generally how it works. Anyway, yeah, let's keep listening to him here.
Nice and very polite, but there's something like, I want to be careful with my words here because I'm not trying to be mean.
Oh, f it, man. Say it.
To these sweet people, but something's off, man. Just something is like notably off. Like I gave crap to the Mormon church that I went to a couple months ago because
the thing is they all have a personality, the same personality. It's called the new personality. They have a name for it. They talk about it like in their their magazines and everything, putting on the new personality. They're trying to program people. They're trying to build in this new identity into people. It's part of their goal as a religion. You know, they all act exactly the same.
The people there seemed depressed. It seemed like they didn't want to be there. It seemed like they were just so miserable to be alive. The people here were very peppy, and they were happy, and they were smiley, and they were sitting.
Oh, I thought he was talking about Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah's Witnesses also take antidepressants a lot. It's a big problem. Back in the 90s, medicine and therapy were very discouraged, frowned upon. But they've kind of moved off of that a little bit. I mean, the official stance currently is medicine bad, therapy bad. With Jehovah's Witnesses, you need Jesus instead. But they're mostly okay with people going to therapy now. It's resulted in like a lot of people taking like, Zoloft or whatever antidepressants people take.
In their seat, and they were listening, and they were content, and it was kind of creepy. And again, that's mean, but God, if you're one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I hope that you can just...
Don't say that. They're not one of Jehovah's Witnesses. That's their term. They are a Jehovah's Witness. That bothers the fucking shit out of me. Jehovah's Witnesses absolutely insist that they are one of Jehovah's Witnesses because Jehovah is a fella, and he wants you to be his witness. No! Jehovah's not real, okay? It's fictitious. The name was Yahweh in the Bible. Jehovah is literally an attempt to prevent people from saying the real name. And Jehovah's Witnesses fell for that. They are a Jehovah's Witness, not one of Jehovah's Witnesses. But okay, I'll forgive it.
But God, if you're one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I hope that you can just listen to my initial experience and take it at face value and glean something from it. But the whole experience felt like canned. Felt like everyone there was a paid actor. Case in point was that the people...
I couldn't have said it better. Yes, absolutely. They feel like paid actors. Again, it's part of the new personality, quote unquote. Here you go. This is the article, or one of the many articles, where they talk about the new personality. This is the August 2017 study edition of the Watchtower. How we put on and keep on the new personality. Clothe yourselves with the new personality. The new personality, that expression occurs twice in the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures. That's their version of the Bible. It refers to a personality that is created according to God's will. Developing such a new personality is within our reach. Why? Because Jehovah created humans in his image and thus made it possible for us to reflect his beautiful qualities. And then there's a question with it, of course, paragraphs 1 and 2. Why is putting on the new personality within our reach? And what aspects of the new personality are recorded at Colossians 3:10? Anyway, the point is that they talk about the new personality all the time.
Who gave the talk on both Sundays spoke with the exact same cadence.
How heartwarming it's been to see millions take their stand for true worship.
Now,
yeah, I learned how to do that cadence too. That's just part of the deal. Everywhere in the world.
there's nothing weird or crazy about a specific denomination or a specific discourse community having their own weird way of speaking. That's to be expected. Like,
no, that's weird, I think.
when I go to a full gospel church, I expect the preacher to be, swatting at bees. I expect him to get up there and be like, and then Moses went down from that mountain, and then he said to the people. And if I go to my normal non-denominational
That was really good. That impression was great.
church, I expect them to sound like, now every eye closed, every head bowed. I want you to look deep in your heart. And if you say, God, I just haven't been living for you. I haven't been giving you my first fruits. I want you to come up to this altar and get right with God. Here,
Oh my God, he is so on point with this.
the style of preaching is to be as monotone as possible and kind of sound like a voiceover artist. Here, I'm gonna try to do my best impersonation of it. Whenever Jehovah gives his people an assignment, he expects them to carry it out in an organized way. Jehovah has put Jesus in charge of that work. Jesus has seen to it that it is carried out in an organized fashion.
Let me give it a shot. Again, I was learning this cadence. The new personality. That expression occurs twice in the New World Translation of the Holy Scriptures. It refers to a personality that is created according to God's will. Ugh, God, I'm getting cringy just reading it. It's awful.
I would lose my mind. But it's not just that their preaching style is very monotone, it's that everything is monotone and monochromatic. And I mean, it is so wildly uncomfortable to see the individuality just sucked out of these people. Because I spoke with, black people and white people and Hispanic people and Asian people there.
Again, they don't draw the line between black and white or whatever. You don't have your own culture. You have Jehovah's Witness culture. You don't have your own ideas and experiences and beliefs and feelings and whatevers. It's all Jehovah's Witness based. The line isn't between black and white. It's between Jehovah's Witness and non-Jehovah's Witness. And when you're kicked out of the religion, you have nothing anymore because you're part of this culture that you grew up inside of. Nobody else on the outside nobody else outside the religion understands, has any idea what's going on. I was weird when I left. I'm still weird. And people pick up on it like instantly, like, holy shit, that dude's weird because of this. Because of this exact thing he's describing here. It's weird.
It was very weird to hear them all speaking the same way. Now, it isn't just that they have a similar manner of speaking. It's just listening to the sermon and how much of it is just micromanaging everything that you think and do and realizing that like this religion, this denomination, this sect, they are very interested in every aspect of your life.
Yeah, and again, like people aren't ever, they call them conductors for a reason. They are just in the engineer's room shoveling coal in. That's it. The train's going where it's going. Completely irrelevant what they have to say or whatever. If you ask them what they believe, they will quote the Bible verses that they are told to quote by the Watchtower Society. Simple as that.
They don't like individuality.
Teachers and classmates may never understand why I chose not to.
I mean, you're hearing this cadence, right? Teachers and classmates may never understand. It's all the same. It's weird.
Pursue a career in music, but that's okay. The career I chose gives me purpose and happiness now.
Oh, he's talking about going door knocking.
And has an eternal future.
So for both of the sermons that I listened to, they were good. They referenced the Bible, but the substance was just I mean, for starters, it was just utterly milquetoast. It is so shallow. I mean, the entire gist of both sermons, from what I remember, is, hey, the world is going to hell, and you just need to stay inside of church and be sure to be a good parent and always remember to pay your taxes. It was just like, is that it? Like everything there was just about abstaining from the world and staying away from worldly temptations and staying away from worldly pleasures and just, isolate yourself more and more and more until your only circle of friends is within the Jehovah's Witnesses circles.
Well, you shouldn't even, it shouldn't be like you're isolating yourself more and more until you're only friends. No, you should only ever have Jehovah's Witness friends. That's kind of the rule. Anyway. Absolutely on point. I love that this guy covered this. And again, he's going places if he wants to. You keep at it, and your channel is going to explode. Just give it time. Anyway, tell me what you think about it in the comments. That's actually really interesting.